I want to talk a little bit today about my mental and physical health because I think it is inextricably linked to how successful I am and how creative I'm able to be, and that there can't be a disconnect between those two things. So, I've brought you to this little spot, which is basically almost every day I'll come and sit here. I often don't film here because it's a bit of a sanctuary for me, but every day I'll go for a walk and I'll stop here. It's just off the trail, looking over some water. And there's this little log that I bought in here that I sit on, that I hide away every day so it doesn't disappear on me. And I'll just sit and relax and take time to be by myself. Because, look, a couple of months back, right, I went through a bit of a stage where I felt absolutely overwhelmed with emotion at all times. Like, just the most random things would make me kind of fill up with anxiety to the point of, almost being in tears, because I couldn't really explain what was going on. There's obviously a whole host of things that have happened in my life over the past 6 months. I lost my job, which was directly linked to my identity as a person. I didn't just lose my job. I was in a senior position at this company, and for a long time had been the face of the company. I was just talking to someone the other day, and they said, from the outside, you and that company were like one in the same. And I treated that job and that business like it was part of me. Part of that was because, I was supposed to have had shares in the business. So, for me, it felt like it was my business as well, and everything I was contributing and everything I was sacrificing at the time to be successful in that job was in order for some future reward. Now, obviously, that didn't turn out the way that I'd hoped it would. And actually, by the last year of that job, it kind of sapped me of all confidence. It sapped me of all joy. I was in a very bad place for the last year of working at that company, and the environment had led me into a position where I just didn't know who I was and didn't know why I was doing what I was doing, and didn't know if I was good enough to be doing what I was doing. I also didn't know if I was good enough to be doing anything else. That's a horrible, horrible position to be in, but I didn't have the bravery to make the sacrifices that I know I needed to make in order to leave that job and go on to something better. I essentially waited until I was forced to leave the business to make a decision to do something that I knew would make me happy. There's lots of things connected to that, like, my job being my identity. The money I was making was significant for, not a significant amount of work in the end. And, you know, I knew that stepping away was a risk in terms of how much work I would need to do, how much of a pay cut I might need to take. Specifically doing this, where I essentially said, I'm not going to worry about making money. I'm going to worry about making art. So after I'd lost that job and I knew it was the right thing for me, and I'd sat down with my wife and talked about what the future might look like. And she said to me that, you have to go and attack this thing. You have to go and do this thing that you've been trying to do, but you have to put everything into it. And all that she wanted for me was to be happy, and the money and everything else would figure itself out. And she wasn't worried about it. But, for periods during that 6 months, I was acutely aware that there would come a point where the money that I had saved would run out, and that I might be in a position where we would struggle. Having gone from a position where we had significant amounts of excess money every month. So during that period when I was worrying about that, I think that was really closely related to how anxious I was feeling, and this, overwhelming emotion that I was having on almost a daily basis. So what I started doing was I realized that I'd kind of neglected myself. I'd given up hobbies that I'd had outside of content creation. I'd given up on kind of exercise outside of that, and it wasn't that I was, you know, overly out of shape. I wasn't, I'm not massively obese. I had been massively obese before. I'd kind of managed to maintain my weight. I was still eating decent food. There were slippages here and there, but I'd kind of neglected looking after myself to put everything I could into what I was doing. Trying to make three short form videos a day, trying to make 2 3 YouTube videos a day, trying to reach out to brands, trying to get to events. All of these things were happening, and I'd neglected things. So what I did is I started to walk again. And that sounds crazy, doesn't it? I started to walk again. Uh, what I mean is, my morning routine is I get up, or should I say, Baby Charm gets me up. I get her ready for nursery. I do her hair. We leave the house. I drop her at nursery, and then I would come home and start working. So sometimes I would start working at, between 7:30 and 8, basically. What I started to do is to sacrifice some of that time in the morning and working, and started to walk. And when I first started doing these little walks, I just walked down the canal, and almost every walk, there would be points in the walk where I was completely overwhelmed. But I was in a space where I was on my own. I felt protected. I felt safe to be able to express those emotions without having to explain what they were. Because honestly, I didn't really know why I was feeling the way I was feeling. I just know that I was struggling. And then in these walks, I discovered all of these little hidden gems around near where I live. It's quite industrial where I live. So it's, lots of concrete, but I live not far off the canal. So I was walking down the canal, and one day a woman stopped me in the canal and said, "Have you been to this place? There's a place just down there. It's a little nature reserve." I don't know this woman. She just stopped me. She had seen me, I think, with the camera and stuff. She said, "You should go there." I don't know why she stopped me and talked to me and said that. She was so kind. "You should go there. It's really beautiful. We take the dogs there for a walk on a Sunday." So one day I walked down the canal and I found this little place and started walking around. I just thought it was wonderful. It was like this little oasis in the middle of a kind of concrete jungle. There was all this greenery. And the more I came here, the more I started to explore off the path. And then one day I came across this little spot and sat here every day. So the first thing that gave me the walking every day was that I was moving again. I think as content creators and gamers, so much of your time is spent enclosed in a singular room without significant human interaction outside of what you're getting across, a fiber optic cable. And so much of what you receive as a creator, there's lots of positives, lots of positive feedback, but there is often these little islands of negative feedback, and sometimes when you post stuff, it's a whole flood of negative feedback. So you're dealing with, thousands, hundreds, whatever it is, lots and lots of comments and lots of people that are directly looking at you and judging you and making an assessment and delivering their verdict on what kind of person they think you are, and that's difficult to comprehend as a human. I don't think we're necessarily made to have that amount of information and that amount of input at any one time. So I wanted to stop being confined to a single room all the time. I wanted my content to stop being confined to a single room all the time. I wanted it to be different. I wanted it to be outside the box. And also I wanted to get out and about. And that's, the Charm Diaries, what you're seeing here, has really helped with that, because it's forced me to get out and just consider the things around me. And I found all of these beautiful spots. But the main thing it did as well is it got me kind of physically active and moving again, even though it's not massively strenuous. I'm quite obsessive as a person. So I've been through stages in my life where I've been very heavy in weight and then very light. And, often when I would lose weight, it would be down to kind of obsessively, counting calories, it down to be obsessively, going to the gym, training 2 3 times a day. I wouldn't just start running. I would run a half marathon. That was, there's a joke with me and our friends that my way of training for a half marathon is just to go out and run a half marathon. So I'm really enjoying this space to walk again, and the physical movement and the being active and having time away from that enclosed space has really opened me up to go, how can I be more creative? What are different ideas? How are the different ways to present my content? And I think we underestimate how much physical activity can affect our mental health. It certainly does with me. If I'm not creative, I struggle from a mental health perspective. But also, if I'm not moving, if I'm not doing stuff, I'm not active, it also affects me. I feel depressed. I feel sluggish. I feel trapped. I get itchy feet, and I can't really motivate myself to sit down and do the work I need to do. And actually, it was by taking time away from the work that allowed me the space to be able to do the work more effectively, more efficiently. The other thing that I'm still not good enough at yet, but I recommend to everyone who struggles from a mental health perspective, who struggles with anxiety, who struggles with knowing what to do next, is meditation. And it sounds wanky, and it sounds spiritual, and it sounds out there, and it sounds like a kind of fairy tale thing. Like, what impact can sitting quietly and breathing really have on your day? And I can only speak from personal experience, but it's the first thing I go to if I'm struggling. My problem with it is that I'm not consistent enough with it. But there have been stages where I have, for 10 minutes each day, just 10 minutes, sat down, closed my eyes, focused on my breathing, and just tried to be in that moment. And I think there's this illusion that meditation is about not thinking of anything. It's about having a blank mind. And there are times when you meditate where you do reach that point of going, you're not thinking about anything else. But really, the act of meditation for me is about practicing to be more present more often. Because I'm like everyone else, right? My mind runs a million miles an hour, and I'm constantly between two or three things. And, you know, I'm so easily distracted without recognizing that I'm being distracted until after the fact. I'm always all over the place. So for me to sit and focus on one thing and really dial in on that is very difficult. What meditation gives me is that opportunity to have all of that still going on, to still have my mind going off to this thought, to still have my mind telling this story to myself, to run out conversations that haven't happened in my head, to fabricate situations that might or could happen or haven't happened or should have happened, or things that I should have said, all of those things, all of those millions of things that go through your head. And what meditation does is allows you to go, yeah, I'm not focusing on my breathing, I'm thinking about this other thing, and then to return to that. And I think the more often you do it, the quicker you can return to that state of focusing on your breath and focusing on your breathing. And one of the things that really helped me is going on YouTube and saying and searching for 10-minute guided meditations. And there's a whole bunch on there. There's ones that focus on different things. There's meditation for when you wake up in the morning. There's meditation before you go to sleep at night. There's meditation for anxiety. There's meditation for creativity. There's all these different things, and essentially just typical kind of nature sounds, tweeting birds, rainfall, but there's someone talking you through the meditation and guiding you through what to do, and that's a really great place to start. So what I'm trying to do, I already understand for myself that how creative I can be, how successful I can be, how at ease I can be with myself is inextricably linked with my physical activity and working on my mental activity. So when I'm at my busiest, the times that I don't feel like I have time to do the things, I don't have time to walk, I don't have time to meditate, those are the times that I need it more than ever. So this is what I'm trying to focus on. I neglect it too much, and I've not got the consistency I want yet, and I'm nowhere near where I want to be with it, but I'm walking every day, I've got physical exercise every day, and I'm trying to meditate more and more, at least 10 minutes each day. to make sure that I am physically capable and mentally capable to produce the best possible content that I can, the most impactful content that I can. And that's what I'm trying to do with every video that I make. I'm trying to have an impact on someone somewhere. I got a comment the other day that, I do these charm diaries and often they don't get huge viewership. That's not why I do them. I do them because often I'm reminding myself of things that I need to be reminded of, or I'm teaching myself things that I need to learn. It just so happens that I'm talking to a camera rather than it being an internal monologue. But I put them out and the viewership is never huge. And then the other day I got a comment from someone saying, these charm diaries have really inspired me. I'm starting my own YouTube channel, and this has really helped me. And I'm so surprised by that. I'm like, my God, this has had an impact. And that's one person. It's had an impact on a person, and that to me means more than getting a video with 1 million views. Don't get me wrong, 1 million views would be nice. I'll take them and I use them because that means I'm reaching more people. I'm getting out to more people. But having that impact and having someone come to me and said, this really helped me, was like, yes, this is amazing. That feedback was, this is doing what it needs to do. Even if it's only doing it on a small scale right now, it's doing what it needs to do. So anyway, look, again, I'm talking from personal experience, and I know everyone has different methods of doing what they need to do and getting to where they need to get to. But if you're struggling, if you feel overwhelmed, if you have this build-up of emotion, I cannot tell you how much going for a walk for an hour and sitting and meditating for 10 minutes has been absolutely transformative to me at many different points in my life. There's lots of other stuff that I try to do in terms of maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and there's still lots of stuff that I'm getting wrong, and I'm slipping back into old wiring. I'm slipping back into old habits, but everything I consume, everything I take in from the videos I watch, the films I watch, the TV series I watch, the books I read, the food I eat, the people that I talk to, all of that has an absolutely undeniable effect on my ability to be creative and my ability to maintain that creativity where the quality and the output is sustainable. I hope this helps someone, because this stuff has helped me massively, and I'd love to have you as part of the community. So if you haven't already and you've made it this far into the video, because I've been rambling for a while now, do hit that follow button, subscribe button, and drop me a comment. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you on the next one.